Well, hello, Katie Chisholm. How are you?
Good, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Fantastic. Thank you for joining me for part two of getting to understand what chakras are and how important they are to understand the systems and how it flows in the body. We talked a lot about just getting to understand what a chakra was last time. We talked about the energy centers and what they do and all the things that they have. And my favorite takeaway from that one was the fact that at the end of my fingertips, I'm still in my heart chakra.
Yeah.
I'm still in my heart chakra. So anytime I touch someone, I'm touching them with my heart energy. And that was so powerful for me. And it meant so much to really pick up on that and think about that. So that was something that was a great takeaway for me last week. So we also talked about where the chakras are. And today's conversation is more about when we're feeling out of balance, when the energy could be blocked in a particular chakra, how that shows up in the body or how it shows up that we might start to recognize, and then ways to what it looks like when it's balanced. And I think that's going to be a really fascinating conversation. So, Katie, I'm going to turn this beautiful conversation over to you and your lovely energy to share with us what happens with our chakras and how we can understand when we're out of balance and how it feels, and when we're in balance and how that feels.
So, yeah, thank you.
The floor is yours.
It's so wonderful that you're sharing this with people, because when we have an awareness of how this energy works within our body and where it shows up, it can just be a complete game changer. So together we've devised some slides that I'm going to share my screen. So if you can see that there, we're going to start right at the bottom at the root chakra, and Pat and I are going to talk into this. So what happens on each of the slides for each of the chakras is we'll go on where it is happening anatomically within the body, what an overactive chakra looks like, what an underactive chakra looks like, and then what a balanced chakra looks like. So before we talk about balance, we're all going to take a big deep breath, because it's after you've heard all the stuff that goes on in the chakras, it's nice to just connect in and go, no, I want that. I want the balanced one. So let's go into where anatomically within the body you might get some issues with a root chakra. So we've got the sacrum, adrenal glands, feet, hips, bones, large intestine, anus, and skin. So psoriasis, eczema, things like that showing up on your skin. Unexplained random rashes could very well be to do with energy within the root chakra, which is fascinating. Let's talk about overactive.
It's interesting. I didn't really realize that it affected skin as well. And that, I mean, I talk to a lot of people with eczema. And that is fascinating to realize that there could be something out of whack in that chakra.
Yeah, it's interesting actually when you start to expand in the conversation with people to ask about a few things that might be going on within their life, like root chakra questions. And then you're like, yep. And then you can guide them towards ways to balance. It's really a beautiful thing to have that awareness. If we have an excess amount of energy in our root chakra and it's overactive, psychologically, this can appear as a fear of change, aggressive behaviors, hoarding, obsession with routines and security. We can be overly strict with our boundaries, quite greedy, materialistic, an obsession with money. So, you know, work, lots, got lots of money, buy lots of things, but really there's nothing there, like of value, of significance. Physically within the body, we might have issues with our weight, so obesity, overeating, addictions, sleeping too much, fatigue, extreme fatigue, low energy, and really heavy feet. You see someone in the city, you know, they walk along, head down, slumping, shoulders over, really heavy feet as they're walking along. So that's really interesting. And on the flip side of that, if it's blocked, if there is no energy there in the root chakra, psychologically, this is fear. So there's a lot of that going on in this current climate. Fear state, insecurity, flightiness, anxiety, inability to focus, disorganization, poor self-discipline, poor boundaries. So letting people just walk over you, not having the ability to say no. poor sense of self, and financial problems. Money's always an issue. You can't seem to see how there might be more ways to make money because there's just no energy, no way for you to do that. Physically within the body, this is a really common one. Frequent illness, the immune system just crashes. Insomnia, eating disorders, constipation, because that energy in that area is blocked. Pain in the feet and legs, so tingling, numbness. We wake up with pins and needles, things like that. Circulation issues, bone disorders, and then the skin, so the rashes and the eczema and the psoriasis and things like that is the underactive.
Right.
Yeah, fascinating, isn't it?
It is. Could it also affect if you have any inflammation or osteoarthritis or anything along those lines? Could that be a part of the bone disorders?
From the hips down, feet and hips down. So hips, knees, plantar fasciitis, things like that.
Right. Okay. So plantar fasciitis comes in here too.
Yeah,
it makes a lot of sense. So I get a lot of questions around that, especially from women. And please don't. It happens with men too, but I talk to women mostly. Happens with women as they're moving to the next phase of their life. So they're coming into they're coming out of perimenopause, going into menopause, and there are some changes going on. Plantar fasciitis keeps cropping up in this age group, in this phase of life. And it's very interesting because maybe this phase of life is knocking the root,
socks
the
off.
balance. Yeah, that's right.
Menopause.
Menopause.
Menopause. All right, we're going to take a big deep breath here for balance. So big. When our root chakra is balanced, this is the nice part, we are at ease with life. We feel fully connected to the earth deeply. We love nature. We have a strong sense in self. We feel centered, abundant, trusting, and we're able to relax. Like, that is a blessing to be able to relax. So let's find ways to balance out our root chakra. All right, we're going to move on to sacral. So that little bit higher into the sacral. Anatomically, this is our abdomen, our genitals, reproductive organs, so womb, kidneys, and bladder. So all around that area. If there is an excessive energy in that area and our chakra is overactive, psychologically, this can appear as bipolar, panic attacks, excessive emotion, moods, mood swings, hypersensitivity. Someone says something and you're like, react instead of respond straight away, and emotional dependency on others, relationships, friendships, all those sorts of things can be challenging. So physically, this is like emotional eating, sexual addictions, substance abuse, frequent urination, and really heavy menstrual flow, heavy periods, issues with your periods. This is really common, like this one here, because remember, sacral is flow, right? So there's always either an abundance or a not of energy in this particular area, but once we have an awareness of it, we can work with it.
But do you find that sacral and root chakra, because they are close physically in the body, but sometimes people will appear and have these conversations with me, and they'll be expressing this when they're blocked or out of balance. They'll express it both for root and sacral. Does that happen frequently? Is that something that normally can
it's because like the root is like the bowl and the base. So if we don't have a solid root and bowl and base, the water from sacral will just flow out. There's no edges. It will just flow out. So those two intertwine. The bottom three, actually, your bottom three earthly chakras intertwine so closely together that if there is something going on in root, there most probably is something going on in sacral and solar as well.
Okay, brilliant. That's what I suspected that, because I've been in a position where I felt this way as well, and I at the same time feeling the root chakra issues. So beautiful. Thanks, Katie.
So if our sacral chakra is blocked, psychologically we have creative blocks, You might have been an amazing painter or writer or something like that, and you're just like, I can't even do it. Okay, I don't even know. Nothing's coming out. Fear of relationships or commitment, to push people away. Emotional coldness, inability to experience pleasure. So this is just pleasure in life, like going out for a walk, but just going out for a walk with your blindfold on, like just
Right.
whereas
so really no joy in the activity.
Joy. Yeah, not seeing the clouds floating through the sky and the amazing patterns, the leaves crunching under your feet as you're walking, the breeze on your face. That's pleasure in life, pleasure in nature, pleasure all over the place. So not necessarily just pleasure in the bedroom, which some people just think of straight away. There is pleasure in eating something delicious, right? That savoring first bite of mindful eating.
Yeah, beautiful.
So physically within the body, fertility issues, nervous stomach, stilted movements, so awkward, clumsy, fall over all the time, bladder infections, UTIs, kidney stones, and skipped menstrual cycles. So you don't have the normal 28-day thing going on. So a lot of women who suffer with fertility issues, if sacral work is a thing, right? It's just about moving through the barriers of having a blocked sacral chakra and getting energy flowing back through the area to create life in the womb. So there's not many doctors in medicine that would say, have you looked into your sacral chakra? Because it's just not a thing.
That happening. I can't
just
see
not a thing.
I know when I was being treated for fertility issues, which never resulted in a positive end result, I remember the doctors just treated me like they treated everybody else. It was the same protocol that they used with everyone else, with not actually having a conversation with me. But in hindsight, it really was an imbalance going on with the root and sacral chakra. It's really incredible.
Yeah, and we only know what we know, and if you could know this stuff from young, that's why we need this generational change, right? So kids grow up knowing this stuff.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yes. All right, let's take a big deep breath and talk about balanced sacral. So when our sacral chakra is balanced, we are easygoing. We can cultivate beautiful, healthy relationships with our soul tribe. We are comfortable in our body. We love ourselves, in our skin. We live in creative flow, and we feel sensual. Like music will come on in the shops and you'll just want to dance and move regardless of anyone that's around. You're like, oh yeah, So that is just beautiful. This is my favorite chakra of all of them, solar plexus. So where in the body anatomically is this one? Solar plexus area, stomach, digestive organs, upper intestines, middle back, liver and pancreas and gallbladder. So if people have issues within any of those areas, let's look at why. So overactive, psychologically, there may be some anger there, control issues, stubbornness, manipulative within relationships, friendships, at work, inability to compromise, a little bit of arrogance there, excessive competition, always have to be right, regardless of anyone else's feelings around you, lack of sensitivity, and some narcissism. There have been times in my life where this has been huge for me, and I can relate a lot with it. Definitely not so much an issue now. But physically within the body, this appears as hypertension, so high blood pressure, stress, ulcers, muscle spasms, insomnia due to excess energy. So you just can't sleep. You may get to sleep, but then you wake up in the night and you're like, and your mind just won't go to sleep. And exercise addiction, like you become an addict at the gym, or you must go out every day type thing. On the flip side of this, if your solar plexus is blocked, psychologically you have really low self-esteem, a lack of willpower, you don't know who you are, inability to accomplish things, you start something, you never finish it, can be quite unreliable, you'll say you're going to be somewhere, you're not there, get really victim mentality, like, oh, everyone's doing it to me, this is not mine, you can't take ownership for things, and you blame others. I work within the veteran space, and there are so many people with blocked solar plexus chakras. It's unbelievable. But there is a lot of this happening in the world as well at the moment. Blocked solar plexus. You might be able to think of some examples. Physically, this is a bit horrible, this one. You know, get sluggishness, you get low energy, don't want to eat anything, you've got no appetite, you get really tired with chronic fatigue, digestion's really poor, diabetes can be an issue. You feel cold because your circulation's not great. Poor liver function, so sluggish liver, not great for many health conditions, having sluggish liver. Pat's really great with all that. She told me heaps of info about that. Bad posture, weak middle back, and stiff muscles. So many people complain of back issues in that area, but no one even thinks of the energy that's going through that particular area, and it could be some sort of imbalance to do with the chakra.
Yes, and you know, you have lower back issues, and you wind up going off to see a chiropractor or someone, and it might actually just be something you can work on yourself. If there
or a kinesiologist, you know,
or a kinesiologist to get the energy going.
Yeah, we just don't know.
That's right. So Katie, you mentioned that I had done some helped you with understanding some of this from a food perspective, for working with the liver and poor digestion. As we were going through this pack, I realized that there's going to be a part 3 to this chakra conversation, and that's going to be a food conversation that I'm going to have for the 3rd session.
Brilliant.
So yeah.
We definitely need that. All right, let's take a breath. When your solar plexus is balanced, this one is super powerful because you're empowered within self. You feel confident all the time in your decision making and your life. You're calm, you're respectful of yourself and of others, but really healthy ego. Ego doesn't take over, you know, and make the decisions for you. You've got it in check. You're spontaneous in life. An opportunity pops up and you're like, yep, I'm in. And self-disciplined as well. Your boundaries are really good. So many people have really crappy boundaries and don't really know their base standard of what they are willing to accept and not accept. So solar plexus having a balance here really enables you to do that and take grasp of it and really stick with it. So that's why it's really important. Let's go into heart chakra. This is Pat's favorite. So anatomically within the body, heart, lungs, shoulders, chest, arms, breasts, thymus gland, and cardiac nerve plexus. So remember, this is the element of air, this one. So everything's about breath and pranayama and connecting to self, giving, receiving. So psychologically within the body, if we've got an excess of energy, if it's overactive, we're constantly putting others' needs above our own. We get this thing called martyr syndrome, where we give, help, but we're not doing it for ourselves, right? So a lot of issue happens. We get burnout. We can become clingy in relationships and friendships because we need that validation constantly. We neglect ourselves. Jealousy is an issue. Chronic relationship failures, and struggling to forgive. So forgiveness, compassion, empathy, all those sorts of things related to heart chakra. And physically, this is like an enlarged heart. We have issues with low blood pressure. Depression comes easily because we're giving, but nothing's coming in. So we get exhausted with all the giving. And this is where breast cancer, it can actually come about energetically because there's no love coming in, there's no energy coming in to help nurture yourself. So issues with the breast can come from overactive heart chakras. Interesting. Mastitis interests me because I got it with my first child in hospital.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was because I was giving my everything to this little beautiful baby that was right in front of me, sacrificing all my energy completely for this baby. So my body responded with mastitis as a way to say, hey, you know, what about me? Come back, you know, give some to self. But no midwife or doctor would ever say that, would they?
No, did they hand you a cabbage leaf instead?
Yes. Yes, and lots of ice packs. So what happens when your heart chakra is blocked? Psychologically, with withdrawal from intimacy, there's coldness, there's this big protective wall up. We get paranoia, we have intolerance for others, irritability, impatience, overcritical of ourselves and others. We lack empathy, compassion for self and others. Depression is a big one because there's no love. Like, you can't connect to self. There's no self-love. It's just rock solid wall is up. Sad one, but common. Physically within the body, heart issues, so angina, heart disease, heart attack, lung and breathing issues, so respiratory issues. Remember, it's the element of air. So that's pleurisy, like an inflammation of the lining of the lung. Asthma. If we look at that on an energetic level from children up, there's issues with blocked heart chakras there. Emphysema, immune system suppression, and upper pain, so upper body pain as well, shoulders, chest, upper back, things like that.
That's really interesting about the asthma, though, especially with children, because they're put on those inhalers so quickly, and because everybody's scared that something negative is going to happen, so they want to sort of treat it instead of understanding what's gone on.
So common.
Could that come about in a child from interaction with the parent when they were a newborn or as they were growing? Could that
100%
heart chakra happen for a child as part of that relationship with a parent or parents and their place in the family, that sort of thing? Could that be coming from there?
100%. Yep. And something beautiful is happening in schools and kindies now where they're teaching children yoga and breath work. So,
Lovely.
enabling them to connect into self and do that sort of work, but then hoping that it's continued in the home as well, where that child's given love and shown love and, the modeling of that behavior for them to be able to connect into self.
That's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. Thanks, Katie.
You're very welcome. Let's take a breath. When our heart chakra is balanced, this one is so beautiful. There's compassion, peace, love, warmth, and openness. There's empathy. We are connected to self and our surroundings, surroundings being nature, animals, trees, that sort of surrounding. We're happy and we're sincere and authentic. Yes, please. Doesn't it sound nice?
It does. I want more of that.
Yeah. Yes,
Definitely
please.
Want more of that.
Give me 3.
Yes.
All right, throat chakra, a huge one for so many people. We discussed this in part 1. So anatomically within the body, throat, trachea, esophagus, neck, thyroid issues, pharyngeal nerve plexus, cervical spine up here around the neck, mouth, teeth, jaw. So if we've got excess energy in this area, psychologically, talking too much, too loudly, interrupting. So, those people that you're having a conversation with them and they're just waiting to speak, waiting. You can see them. They're like a crouched tiger waiting to speak. And you're like, just, they're there. And they just want to interrupt with their story. They just can't wait, regardless of people around them. Talking without thinking, inability to listen to self and others, nil sensitivity, verbal aggression, gossiping, arrogance, and condescending tones, behaviors, things like that. Yuck. But it's common. Physically within the body, hypothyroidism, neck pain, vocal nodes, really loud, yelling all the time, tooth decay, tooth loss, cold sores, canker sores are sores within the mouth as well.
Yes, I always know things are out of whack when my cancer sores come up. So I get them in them, usually right underneath the upper lip.
Yeah. Ouch.
Not pleasant. Oh no, they're not pleasant. They're horrible.
That's your body physically telling you things.
Yes, exactly. And
it's our messenger.
That's right. And the body's so good at providing it. And, unless we stop and think and do the work and to understand it, we don't know why we're getting these things that keep appearing.
Totally. I agree. If our throat chakra is blocked, now so many people have blocked throat chakras. It's just a thing. But when you have an awareness, that's the first step to change. So let's talk into psychologically, we have issues with self-expression. We have a weak voice. We have a fear of speaking. That may just be within a relationship, to self, or public speaking. tell lies, and lying not always in a spiteful way, just lying to be a people pleaser, right? My own mother tells me what I want to hear, but because I'm so aware, I know what she's doing. But that's no fault of her own. She only knows what she knows, right? Because that's how it is. Inability to listen, and this isn't just to others, this is to yourself, not hearing the inner voice within, not hearing the whisperings, the wisdom. Extreme shyness, taking things too literally. Example might be someone I was speaking to yesterday was telling me this extravagant story about how their neighbors got it in for them. And I'm like, I don't even think that's like the case. I don't think that, from an outsider looking in, that's actually what's happening. So you're not actually seeing what's happening, taking things too literally. Writer's block. So for me, I had a blocked throat chakra, and I'm like, I can't journal, journaling, I can't write, because the creativity block was there. Unable to speak your truth. So you may see things going on in the world that are going on that you just don't agree with, but there's no way that you could stand up and say that to people, like, I don't agree with that, because you'd be worried about what other people thought of you, or, a myriad of reasons. So psychologically physically within the body, this is a lump in the throat. Who gets that?
All the time.
Yeah. It's there. It's there because there's something you need to say. So that's a teaching.
Yeah.
And sometimes you got to really stop and go, what is it that I need to say? And just sit with it for a bit. And that's okay. You can even journal it out later if you don't want to physically say it yet. Laryngitis, sore throat, so constantly getting a sore throat, jaw pain, stiffness, tightness. I get that all the time.
I get jaw pain, and I didn't realize it was connected to throat. I knew about the others, but that is really interesting. And so writer's block is another interesting one. Oh, that's scary.
And stiff neck, I get that straight away. Something happens I've got 3 children, something will happen with them, bush, neck, stiff. And I'm like, they know when I'm stressed because I start cracking. And it's because I'm not speaking my truth to say, look, this isn't okay right now. What's happening isn't okay. So my neck gets it. Tinnitus, that's the in the ear. You can get pulsative tinnitus too, where you can hear the blood going through. Tone deafness, so just you could be an amazing singer, but you're just not hitting those notes. No sense of rhythm, and recurrent strep, so the throat.
Interesting, because when I was a child, both my brother and I would get strep throat all the time. It was our illness every winter.
That is really interesting.
Yes, I don't get it any longer, but I know when I can feel it sometimes. Mm-hmm. It's like, ooh, better take care of this. But what I also find interesting, that I because the throat chakra affects your thyroid, it's also presenting as hyper or hypo, which is really, really interesting, that it appears that way, and that there's some issue going on if you're experiencing symptoms of either hyper or hypothyroidism. That's
so
a really good lesson. It's a very good lesson to know, because there's so many thyroid issues in society today. Some of it is overdiagnosed, some of it's underdiagnosed, but also to know that it can also be an imbalance of the minerals, these core essential minerals that are in the body that aren't being absorbed properly.
Energy is mind-blowing.
Absolutely. It is, because if you think that if the energy is blocked, then the organ that needs those minerals they're not getting it because it's blocked.
They're not able to absorb it. Yeah,
that's right. So if you cut it away to a more simplistic view and think, well, of course, if energy is blocked, things aren't getting through, and it's like, oh, of course.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Call. It does. It makes complete sense.
All right, let us take a big deep breath. When our throat chakra is balanced, we have beautifully clear communication, we're authentic, we speak our truth, we're attentive in conversations. So you'll be able to pick up when you've crossed a boundary, or, you know, someone's perhaps said something that doesn't, you know, necessarily need to be said or answered. Patience is there. We're an inspiration. We're a really good listener. We hold integrity, and we're true in our expression. Beautiful. Thank you, throat chakra.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Isn't that stunning?
Power
I love
to the
it.
people.
Absolutely.
These last two are so beautiful, light, etheric. Yeah, we've done the earthly chakras, we've done the bridge, the heart's throat, another powerful communicator. All the messaging comes in there. Now we've got these two. So third eye and crown. Let's have a look. Anatomically, third eye, brain, nervous system, forehead, eyes, nose, pituitary and pineal glands. That one's not true. It's not carotid nerve. So if we have an excess of energy coming in here through the third eye chakra, psychologically, we have psychic visions that interfere with normal life. So sometimes get a bit delusional and see, like, I'm going to buy this house, I'm going to do this and this and this and this and this. Yeah, which is dreams, goals, yes, but also you haven't even got an income. So, you know, how are you going to, yeah. So a little bit sometimes can get into the, there's a word for it, but I'll say delusional or illusions. Can't tell dreams from real life, disconnected from reality, psychosis, and being too much in your head. Too much, monkey braining, not enough groundedness. Sometimes mind and body separate, and you're just too spinning, out of control. Physically, this can appear as headaches, hallucinations, visual disturbances. You can get panic attacks where you do hyperventilation, and brain hemorrhage, tumors, and nightmares. So night terrors, things like that. Not great. If your third eye is blocked, this is more common. This blocked third eye they're everywhere at the moment. Psychologically, a lack of imagination, can't remember dreams or connect to your inner wisdom, higher self, no intuition, a bad decision making, denial of reality, or self-deception, sociopathic behaviors, confused, can't make decisions. You know, the menu's got too many things on it and you just can't decide what you want. Poor memory, non-assertive, undisciplined, and really scattered thoughts. So scattered.
Oh, that was me yesterday. I had one idea and everything just went really haywire. And I think, what in the world's going on here?
Yeah.
I can see it happening right in front of me.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, crazy.
Physically within the body, again, headaches, migraines, because the brain's working too hard. Nasal congestion, so the people that get that constantly, sinus infections constantly. That's my husband. I would never say to him, mate, your third eye's blocked, that's why you keep getting this thing. He'd think I'd left the building. Night blindness, nearsightedness, and vision issues. If your eyes are just getting worse, there could be a blockage within your third eye chakra. Interesting. All right, let's take a big deep breath. A balanced third eye chakra is amazing because you have clear thinking, you have non-attachment to things, your intuition is spot on, you trust yourself and your inner wisdom, you have a good imagination, you can recall your dreams, which is really exciting because sometimes in your dreams you get your answers. You have a sixth sense knowledge and you can visualize. So if you're in a meditation and someone says, picture the stream, you can go, yes, I can see the stream. Your third eye's blocked, you're like, what bloody stream?
I love it. You know? I love it. So I like floating down a stream in a little rowboat, seeing where I wind up. But, you know, I just want to go back to the blockage, to the physical blockage. So I used to get a lot of sinus infections, a lot of them, and I haven't had them in years.
Oh, cool.
And I never really associated it with the third eye. So that's really, really interesting. Yeah. But in medical terms, they're always saying, well, that's just, it's usually because you have a gluten issue or you're too much dairy will block the sinuses. but it may not be a food that's blocking it. It just may be an excess of a food that's blocking it. And you need to unblock the energy so that what the nourishment that you need to get from that food can actually do what it needs to do.
Yeah, 100%. That's why I'm excited about part 3.
Yeah, me too. I love part 3.
You know, if you've got a sinus infection, eat those foods that are great for your third eye chakra. Yeah, get them into your system. All right, last but definitely not the least, we have anatomically the skull, the brain, Kate spelling, cerebral cortex. So all of up there, right? Because our crown chakra is up here, remember, so up here at the top of our head. Overactive psychologically, we've got obsessions, addictions to spiritual or intellectual practices, religious spiritual delusions, hallucinations, so the hardcore, you know, orthodox type religions, nervous breakdown, disassociation, disconnection with the body. So this is this mind-body separation I was talking about. You just don't even know where your feet are. There's no ground underneath. God complex. So some people can get like a superiority separation from others, like float. You see them like floating around like this, you know, that's what I picture. Ungrounded and living in your head. So, you know, there's no connection. Sometimes when you take things a bit too far and you go to ascension, this can be you, but it's good to have friends that grab you and drag you back down to earth and remind you that you're in earth school right now.
I love that. That's really good. Yeah. Pulling on their shirt tails.
Come back.
Yeah.
So physically within the body, headaches at the crown of the skull, overactive nervous system. So that fight all the time as well. Just exhausted from that overactive nervous system, seizures, issues related to physical neglect, right? If you're up here in the ether, you're not going to be worrying about your body down here. So you're separated from that. On the flip side of that, if your crown chakra is really blocked, and I think of the really elderly when I say these sorts of things that are stuck in aged care centers, okay, have a little think about them as I read through these. So psychologically, feelings of isolation, depression is a huge thing. Lack of inspiration, lack of purpose, spiritual crisis, cynical, closed-minded, feeling meaningless, and it leads to mental disorders, right? That you've lost you can't connect to universe anymore. That's blocked. You're like, there's nothing out there that you can associate with that's better or bigger or higher purpose than self. So physically within the body, this is like learning disabilities. So your brain just goes, hey, I've had enough. I'm leaving. Nervous system failure. So things like Parkinson's and, other nervous system ailments. Autism can be heightened in this chakra. Brain tumors, comas, amnesia, Alzheimer's, and senile, being senile. So elderly.
Yeah. No, and it's really interesting because my father had Alzheimer's and my mother has senility is a really interesting term for that, for dementia, really is what that is replying. So both of my parents are suffering from, my father is no longer with us, but my mother is suffering from that. But it's really interesting because I think when my father retired and came to sort of the end of his career, he did lose he felt meaningless and lack of purpose, and he was having some spiritual crisis, and you could see it happening.
Because as the soul, when we crash down to this earth with our contracts, you know, I want to go through grief, loss, I want to do a little bit of, you know, all the things, right? You tick off when you come down splat, you live your life, and you're at that part where, you know, you've completed your soul contract, and the universe is calling you for greatness, for more, for ascension, but you don't even know what that is or can connect with it. And all the energy in your body through your chakras is like, and it's like stuck there. So your crown chakra is going, nah, you're not going. You're not going anywhere. So that's, it makes complete sense to me.
It does to me too. And when you find people who are really searching for that meaning, what is that next phase? You find that as you get the empty nester syndrome happening, or you've come to the end of your professional life. Is there life after that? Is there life when the kids move out of the house? What does that life look like? And that's a fascinating time in someone's life, that actually there's so much more to life when you go, all right, I'm going to allow that to happen.
Trust and allow. Surrender. So the demon of the crown chakra is attachment. So being attached to stories, being attached to, you know, the meaningless things in life that really are just material, you know, oh, I can't get rid of that boat, you know, things like that. So attachment to the story in the veteran space, like, but I was in the army for 25 years, you know, now that I'm out, I'm nothing. Like, that's who I am. It's like, but it's not who you are. That was a chapter, and now you've got the next chapter, and that's super exciting. Let's go. But that's really hard for people if this is blocked, because they can't see that or feel that. So that's really interesting. So let's take one last final deep breath and talk about our beautiful balanced crown chakra. We feel inner peace. We feel a state of bliss and unity, not only with ourselves, with others, but with the universe. We're oneness. We're fully present in life. We have a quiet mind. We are open, aligned, and ready. Yes. I tick yes.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful, Katie. I really enjoyed that. And it really was a reminder about so many things that we feel in our lives and really haven't made that connection to why we're feeling that way. But if we were to stop and just evaluate and take kind of an audit, if you will, if you want to put it into business terms, and just say, well, wait a minute. Oh, yeah. That's really interesting. So I'm going to extend this chakra conversation into a phase 3 conversation. And we're going to talk a bit about the right foods to eat to sort of balance and help your body balance that chakra, along with other things that you can do. So what I thought I might do, if she's okay with it, is invite Katie back to do part 3 with me.
Awesome.
And we'll make it more interactive between the two of us, where I'll talk about some food things and we can talk about a couple of other things to help you bring balance to a chakral area that seems to be out of whack, or the energy levels are blocked, and we want to unblock them and nourish them and bring them what they need.
That sounds amazing.
It does. It sounds like it's going to be a great conversation. So I'm going to leave it there for today, and leave you with the thought that really pay attention. The body is talking to you, and it's telling you so much. It's giving you so much information for you to be your own self-detective, to really dig in and understand, and not just gloss over it, but to really take stock of what's going on in your life and reflect back on the symptoms the body's presenting. And then we'll be back next month with part 3, where we're going to talk about how you can bring it back to balance and what nourishment your body's going to need to help you do that.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Oh, Katie, thank you. Thank you. A pleasure as always, and a good learning. Every time I talk to you about this, I learn so much new stuff to help me in my own life. And I hope that this information, this conversation has helped you. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us.